What's up, everybody? It's your boy Quentin, and I just gotta address something, man. It's about the situation that's going on in Brunswick, Georgia. I don't, what I want to say about it is, I'll put it like this: as I grew up in Georgia, I grew up in a pretty middle class neighborhood around a lot of different types of cultures and people, mostly white. Both of my parents are educated, has afforded us a very good life. However, I do understand that there are people out there that will take your life or devalue your life behind their own insecurities and hatred. Um, and that is why I'm an advocate and not an advocate. Gun ownership. Definitely an advocate of gun ownership for anybody who is black. And the reason that I'm a gun advocate for anybody that's black is just because of the situation that you see right here. This situation is not just about gun ownership. It is about a right or a feeling that some white Americans are afforded in this country. Stand your ground is a perfect example of that in South Carolina, and then what you're seeing here in Georgia and some citizens arrest thing. You know, there's a certain point where you're looking for trouble. You go out, you violate somebody else um, in a capacity of which is would not be acceptable for anybody outside of being white. I mean, that's really how I feel about this. Um, you know, I've never seen. We have we have police. Um, this stand your ground and all this stuff. This is not the Wild West. It is not you versus in your home front versus the Jesse James gang. There's no reason to have white people out thinking that it is okay for them to go around policing and pulling guns on people and thinking they're suspects, because the fact is history has shown us that you're not very good judges of these type of things. You show too many prejudices when it comes to these type of things. And the sad part of this is I know for a fact if this had been anybody else, if they had this had been any other race, this issue would not be where it is. Or let me say that differently. It's not that it wouldn't be where it is. It's that it would not. You would think that a certain sense of justice was going to be done if this was any other race. I don't believe for a minute that a black man could have went out and shot. Two black men could have went out and shot any them our race. White, brown, Mexican, Asian, whatever. Um, they would have been. You would have at the very least been in jail awaiting this trial. The comforts that are afforded white America for these types of things just if it lets you know that there are two Americas. We've been saying that for years. I've witnessed it myself. I've seen it firsthand, not to this degree, and I hope and pray it's never to this degree, but it's not safe for us out there. Whether you can be out having a leisurely jog, you can be a 16-year-old kid walking in a neighborhood where your parents live, you can be in your own apartment and face the danger of white people who are afforded the opportunity, let's say, to carry out or to live off of their fears. And it's an unfounded fear. It's a fear that I don't know how it gets started when you look at history and you look at the oppression of races and who is most likely to be the oppressor. There's no time in history where there has been a rise up of black people against, white people. It has always been the other way around on that. But still in this country, we have this thing for, your love of guns, your love of, of so-called freedom, and your ability to trample on other people's rights. And we're seeing it again. And it's sad. It's sad that it's 2020 and it is just as dangerous in 2020 that it was in 1980, that it was in, 1950. than it probably was in 1850. I mean, it just the amount of ability for someone else to feel that they have the right to do this, and then to have, you know, officials and things like that come out and say things like, well, you know, it's not a problem that they were carrying a gun, or this law gives them the right to do it. Well, then the law needs to be changed. There does not need to be a law where somebody feels comfortable going down the street and hunting someone else, because that is what happened. You had two guys go out on the street and hunt somebody else based on their own affiliation. What if they're wrong? You know, and this is not the first time. You can look up other cases. There's been other cases of this where white people have gone out and shot the wrong person or held somebody at gunpoint and mistaken identity. You know, and it's unfortunate that it keeps happening. It's unfortunate that we allow it to happen, and you know, so that's why I'm a gun owner. You know, and I carry one for these exact reasons. Is I'm just not a victim to that extent. I realize that, you know, I am not going to go out. You won't get me with a stand your ground, because when I see some kind of foolishness or violence or something like that going down, and somebody else is not in danger, in immediate danger, I'm getting out of that area. I have the sense to do that, but it is the ability, it is the I guess the rights that are afforded to you. It is the, you know, the benefit of the doubt that continues to allow these kind of things to happen. Um, so yeah, I believe that black people should absolutely be able to defend themselves in this country. Um, and you know, this is just another sad example of what happens when, you know, when people are left to their own small hatred and their own ignorance, but they're allowed to have, you know, these guns and this authority. I mean, I would never, you know, I would never think to go out to see something happening, somebody breaking into a car or a house or something like that, and to go stop it myself. I would call the police. I mean, that's, you call the police for something like that. That's what they're there for. You know, these guys, one of these guys is a former policeman, one of these, and, you know, but you're former, and we see for a reason why you're former. You know, I don't have any evidence of it, but I'm more than sure that this dude has probably been, you know, reprimanded or at least reported for some type of racist incident. I don't know that for a fact. I haven't looked into either one of their backgrounds, but I'm I'm willing to venture to say that just because of where I am, and I know the nature of that in this country and especially in this state. Um, and I've seen it from citizens growing up. I've seen it from police growing up. So it's sad, man. It's sad, but I think this needs to be a rallying cry, honestly, for black people to start, um, protecting themselves. However that needs to be. But we need to protect ourselves and each other, because clearly this country has shown that it will not do that for us. Um, so if something comes out and there's something that we don't know about this incident or whatever, okay, but again, this, all of these stand your grounds. It's whatever you don't like. The same thing, it's the same problem that you have with people in the virus currently. They don't want to wear masks because they don't feel like they should have to, and all of these. I mean, you don't get the right to affect other people's lives because you are selfish, or you feel a certain way, or you have a certain prejudice, or you do or don't want to do something. Everybody has the right to be a human being. Everybody has a right to live without this type of fear. And everybody should also have the right to know that if something like this happens to them, that the justice system is going to come in and do what it wants. I think this starts at the top. You have a president during rallies and things like that of KKK members and Nazis and things like this, who talks about these people as if they're good people. They may be good people on some things, but on that particular incident and on how you feel about other races, you're not good people. You're on the absolute wrong side of history on this, which a lot of white people have been. And it is sad. It's a judgment, that needs to be stopped, and we need to stop affording them the right to be able to walk over other races. And that goes for everybody. And of course, you'll hear this black on black crime and all of these things. Well, you know what? Everybody, there's white on white crime at almost the same rate. Asian on Asian, you're most likely to be hurt or you're killed by somebody that you know. So, just stop with that. That doesn't devalue anybody else's life. I don't live in. People say that all the time. Well, what about Chicago? I don't live in Chicago, but I do live in Georgia, and I live around white people. And like I said, I have seen this from white people. I've never had this type of problem from anybody black. So when you try to sell me on that, you're just talking bullshit, man. And it really needs to stop. So I encourage y'all, man, get out there, make some video messages, kind of show, we live regular lives. I work every day. I have a family that I love and worry about. And I deal with everything that you do on top of the stigma in this country of being black. So when I say we're hunted, these are the types of things that I'm talking about. You can't tell me under any circumstance that there's any reason for these two men to be free at this time. So that's just my two cent on it. I hope it's not too much for some of you, my white friends. I love y'all. It's not all of you, but there is something that is different in this country that is afforded to you, and you need to understand that these are the things that we deal with every day. Our children are not safe. These are the constant worries. Our children are not safe. Our men are not safe. Our women are not safe. This needs to stop. There needs to be a major shift in this country because you are pushing people into a corner of having to defend themselves because your justice system doesn't do it, and it affords too much freedom to these people who think they can self-police. So, I pray for that family. Justice, for Ahmaud, and that's it, man. Just I hope the rest of y'all's day goes well. It's sad to have to make this kind of message, but it needs to be said sometimes.